Yo, this is the Inflection Collective. All of us are connected, reflective, real life perspective, respected. The banter, the chit chat, no cap is big facts. So kick back. This here is done there, been there.
What's good, y'all? It's the Done There, Been There podcast, episode 2. I'm Mike Hill, and that is Eunice, Elliot. We're still here. Eunice, we didn't get canceled after week 1, so I think we got to try harder this week.
No, I don't think we should try harder. And I think it's funny how I'm not trying to get canceled, Mike. Is that your goal on the podcast, is to get canceled?
I want to get the edge of like, should we or shouldn't we? Then they're at least talking about you. And then, there's always, you know how it is in Hollywood, there's always that bounce back story. So maybe, he reformed himself. I've already been there once or twice. So now I'm just trying for the third time. I'm trying to drag you along with me, Eunice.
I was going to say, I'm good. I'm good over here on the sideline being a private citizen and a silent observer. But you know what? We had a wonderful first episode. Thank you to everybody who listened to the episode. And even if you didn't make it to the first episode, thank you for checking out the clips. We got some interesting engagement on that first episode, the clips that we shared on social media. I'll let you go first. I noticed a theme. I think we both noticed themes for the reactions that we were getting. Some were more directed towards Mike. Some were more directed towards me. What would you say was directed towards you as far as the comments from our first episode of Done There, Been That?
So, Done There, Been That, just in case you're listening for the first time, this is a podcast in which we take sports figures, we take entertainers, and we talk about how we've been in similar situations or allow you guys to be able to relate to what they're going through by asking a question, what we call a sidebar, in order to make you have that question in your head like, oh, I've been there before, so I can have a little bit more compassion, more sympathy, or maybe I can have a little bit more criticism for that athlete or whatnot. So that's what we do. So in the first episode, the one that really got everybody buzzing, and it wasn't even about the Beyonce thing. I thought that's when they really going to come for me. They didn't say anything about that.
But we didn't share the Beyonce clip on social, though. I think that's
I'm so happy because the Beehive would have just taken it completely out of context, whatnot. But we was talking about this is the topic from last week that got a lot of the buzz. And we're going to talk about it just a little bit. The Ime Udoka situation with Nia Long and Ime coming back, being the coach that he is now. And he had a little conversation with LeBron. And then all of a sudden, Nia Long's been brought up once again, even though they've been apart for a year. And the question was, can a person move on after they've been in a public breakup with a public figure and somebody allowed that person to live?
I didn't think that was the question. I didn't think that was the question. I thought the question or the topic was men who are well known in their field get a higher profile based on the woman they are with.
So that's where we went wrong. So the question was, will Ime Udoka, and that's why I was staying on topic, will Ime Udoka ever be able to move on from that situation with Nia Long?
You said, will he ever be known for anything else?
Yeah. And so
he's moved on.
Sure he's moved on. Yeah. But the public hasn't moved on. And the public was saying, and you said, well, I didn't know who Ime Udoka was. I didn't know that man existed. And I was trying to explain to you that, and other people, that, even though you've been in a situation with a public figure, such as I have, I'm also a public figure. He's also a public figure. It doesn't necessarily mean that you got your shine from that person. You may have been exposed to that audience, but it doesn't mean that you got your necessary shine from that person. And I think we disagreed on that. A lot of the women took your side. A lot of the men took my side, and it caused this huge debate. So
but here's the thing. We're still saying the same thing. As I said in the first episode, we're saying the same thing. If I am known in the scientific community and I start dating an athlete, more people who follow sports will know who I am. It doesn't mean I was not great and wonderful and didn't have my own name and recognition. It's just I've been brought into another field where there are more eyeballs. So when a guy, especially an athlete, you have people that watch that team, you have people that watch that sport, you have people that watch all sports, but you have more people, more eyeballs that are going to, now that a guy is partnered with a high profile woman, now we're talking about relationship stuff. Now we're taking pictures on the red carpet. Now, as a former publicist for athletes, there's all these other places I can plug you in because this person has a different audience from you. And now I'm introducing you to them and vice versa. So it's not a negative thing to say that someone's profile was heightened based on who they paired with. That's just science. That's just semantics. It doesn't mean the person wasn't important. It doesn't mean they weren't successful. It doesn't mean they're a gold digger or a user. It just means when you get with someone who has a large audience, even though you have a large audience, your profile is going to go exponentially higher. That's
And
it.
we both said the same thing. And the thing is, what I was saying is, like I said many times last week, we're saying the same thing, but it goes both ways. Just because you're
Mhm.
with a woman who has a high profile doesn't mean that you didn't have shine before. And just because you're a woman with a man who has a higher profile doesn't mean that woman didn't have shine before. So once again, coming back to our situation, because this is the Done There, Been There podcast, we relate with those types of things. Obviously, this was a trigger for me because during my situation or my marriage with who, there was a lot of talk about, I don't know who that person is, never heard of him. The only reason he's doing this is because of that. And my explanation was, no, I was doing a lot of things on national television for 20 years, long before I met her. And I was exposed to a big audience being seen by 20, 25 million people during the Super Bowls, etc. And so that was my explanation. And I think the only thing that I took out of it, though, Eunice, when I caught me off guard, and nothing against you because you're my girl, you've been knowing me for a long time, was when you said the only reason why these men have that shine is because of the woman that they're with.
But
Now,
I never said the only reason. And that's the thing that I want to say about you and the men in the comments. Y'all don't
mm,
listen. Y'all respond and or you partially listen to defend. You're not listening to comprehend.
mm,
Again, I've never said anybody was only known. I said most of the men that we were talking about in that episode, and I use MA, I use Kiki Palmer, I use specific people that these men are only known based on the woman they got with. If you say vice versa, that if a man married a or got with a high profile woman,
so
obviously,
stop. What did you say? They're only known because of the women they
I
got
said
with.
no.
So,
I said I know. I said I never said they were only. I didn't say all these men. I use specific examples of
oh,
that guy. That guy. The only reason I know who Kiki Palmer Daddy's person is, I don't know his name, is I know he
I still
exists
don't know him.
because Kiki Palmer introduced us to this person that she partnered with. I don't know what he does. That doesn't make him a bad person. That doesn't make him unfamous or unimportant. It just means I'm not familiar with him. So if
Right.
I'm speaking from an audience standpoint, I'm saying from social media, we're talking about the audience,
Mm-hmm.
the perception is most of us were not familiar with this person. That does not mean that person was born the day they got with this woman. It just means, hey, I didn't realize that was a person. Travis Kelsey is a wonderful example in that he
Mm-hmm.
has been a top tier NFL player for several and many, many,
Right.
many years. And
Right.
you still have millions of people who had never heard of him until they got with Taylor. That's not a knock on Travis. That's not a knock. It's
But a
just,
lot of
hey,
people, and
this
I
guy
know where you're
was a
coming from,
stud,
but I
and people still hadn't heard of him until he got with this other superstar,
so
and that's not negative.
So I understand where you're coming from, but a lot of people use that in a negative way. If you
Yes,
understand the context in which they throw it out there, a lot of people say, "Well, I ain't never heard him. He never even existed." And that's what I'm saying. So I understand where you're coming from. Obviously, you know what I've been able to do before I went on any reality shows. You know what I've been able to do at ESPN and Fox, and you know how known I am. I'm not saying I was famous. I never said I was a celebrity. I always said I was a public figure, but I had an identity before that. Just like Lori Harvey had an identity before she got with the many famous guys that she's been with. Amber Rose probably had an identity. Even my ex-wife had an identity before she got with Leon back in the 90s. And Leon was one of the biggest movie stars in Hollywood at that time. She hadn't had a baby, even though she had a great modeling career. People will say or was she known before then? Maybe Leon introduced her to a different
well,
audience
I
as well.
guess
So
what I
it
guess
goes,
the defensive to me, I agree. People say it's negative, say it, they mean it as a negative. I'm saying to you, I have not heard of a lot of people in this world. I am not making an assessment on these people's worthiness, successfulness, importance, whatever. I just don't know a lot of people. So I can pick. I mean, I can't even say their names because I don't know them. But a lot of the people that get talked about on social media, I'm not saying it as a
right.
negative when I
Okay.
say it. I'm saying I just don't know who this person is, and everybody else seems to know, obviously, right? Because that's the only reason they're coming to my timeline. And I'm like, well, who is this person? I don't know who this is. That doesn't mean
Right.
they're not important, they're not successful, they're not famous. I'm just not aware of them. That's
Well,
it.
you're saying it the right way, and I appreciate you saying it. But there are a lot of people out there, men and women, who say it in the wrong way. And there are a lot of
I
people who are on
agree.
Instagram. They're like people that have 40 million followers on Instagram right now. They can walk right past me on the street. I would have
We
no
wouldn't know them.
clue who
We
they
would have
are.
no
But it
idea.
does not mean
Exactly.
that they did not have shine before they got with somebody of importance. So you can be 40 million followers on Instagram, and then you start dating Travis Kelce, and then all of a sudden Travis Kelce introduces you to a different audience, and all of a sudden you're on red carpets and you're famous. So it goes both ways. All right,
Exactly.
that's enough about
Exactly.
last week's show. Thank you. I'm
Wait,
glad we can
no, I
move
got
on.
one more thing. I got one more thing to say about
Okay.
last
The
week's show.
woman,
Comment.
the woman always has the last word. So go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. No matter what.
Uh, and this will come up later in today's show. As far as the
Okay.
comments that I saw that are directed towards me, outside of women agreeing with me, thank you, ladies, for listening and agreeing. Also, a lot of the women that reached out to me directly said they love being able to hear about sports personalities, but not necessarily hear the X's and O's. So that's cool. That's what we're
Mm-hmm.
here to get it on.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the men who may not have agreed with me went on these personal attacks, and the
Yeah.
only attack they could offer was, "I take it you're single."
Yeah.
Okay,
My
that's all.
choice.
That's weird. I
My
think that's
choice.
weird. And
My
also, if
choice.
you go back and check the comments, a lot of times the men did not listen to what I said and they were responding. And then when I clarified what the clip actually said, they would acknowledge that they misunderstood or did not hear the clip and still double down on their poor opinion. Anyway,
Right.
that's all. I think that's weird.
But
All
you
right,
know,
let's
but
move on. What are we talking about this week?
real quick. I know you always have the last word, but I want to finish and button that up because I think we live in a society in which you get bits and pieces of information at a time. That's why blogs, you don't get the full context of everything. You see a headline and it could be infuriating. It could be something that can just spark your attention. You can see a clip and not get the full context. So we ask you on this show, if you hear a clip on our show, we put it out on social media. It is there really to tease you, to get you to listen at least to the entire segment, if not the entire episode, before you pass judgment. So yes, my sister Eunice is single by choice, fellas. And guess what? Big brother came for those who tried to come for my sister because I
Yes,
know where
thank
she's
you,
coming
sir.
from when there are a lot of other people who didn't mean it that way. But let's move on.
Yeah,
Let's move
and
on.
also, and we are not here to argue. We are here to share perspectives, which will often be different. But we're not looking to add to the podcast atmosphere of men and women arguing with each other.
No, this is not
Not
men are
never an
from
argument.
Mars
I'm
and
always
women
right.
from
I'm
Venus.
always
Yeah.
right. I'm always
Well,
right. It's never an argument. Go ahead, Mike.
here's what make men smart, and this is what I try and tell people all the time. When a woman says she's always right, just let her think that she is. Bottom line, and just move
I
on. Don't
agree.
even
I
argue
agree.
because you're not gonna
I
win.
agree.
You're not gonna win. Hey,
I
the
agree.
Heisman ceremony was this weekend. We also had the in-season tournament with the Lakers, so some big things happened in the world of sports. How we gonna flip it? I have a Heisman vote, Eunice. So I voted
You.
this year. I do. I have the last 2 years. I had a Heisman vote. This year I went for Michael Penix as my Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels, and then Bo Nix came in third. Jaden Daniels actually won the Heisman this year. I want to talk about the significance of these awards and what they
Yes.
mean. Like in the world of sports, having an award, winning a championship, winning a Heisman is something that can never be taken away from you. But overall, even in our
Well, I don't
business,
know. Reggie Bush might disagree with you, but go ahead.
well, that's true. That's the only one that's ever had it taken away, and that was an embarrassment and a shame there. But in the real world, when you're given an award, if you're given an award on your job for years of service, employee of the year, in our profession, when you were a broadcaster, we win Emmys, whatnot. Does it have really meaningful significance to you as an individual or even as a team?
I would say yes and no. I think times have changed. I think specifically with the Heisman Trophy, the person that used to win the Heisman Trophy probably was on a championship team, probably went number one in the draft, and probably had all these endorsements and deals waiting for him when he got in college. I think now with NILs, I think people would rather have the bag than a trophy. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, I would rather get paid all year long. I think it's still a very prestigious award. Obviously, it's a great honor. Congratulations to Jaden. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. Now that all of the college student athletes can already profit off of their likeness and
Yeah.
image, are those superlatives in college football the same as they used to be? Because it used to be, oh, you won the Buckets Award, you're probably going to, improve your draft stock or whatever. So I don't know. Does it matter as much as it used to?
No, I don't think so. I mean, just winning a Heisman is great. I mean, Caleb Williams won the Heisman last year, tried to come back and win it again this year. Bryce Young won it a couple years ago, but it doesn't translate to success on the next level, which, nothing like you said, with the exception of Reggie Bush, is something they can never take away. Once you're an Emmy Award winner like we are, I've won a couple of Emmys or whatever. You can't take it
I
away
ain't
from you.
won no
But
Emmy yet. I ain't won no Emmy yet. Wait.
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, stab you a little bit right
But
there.
he's
Wasn't
still
I
on
thought
this shine, y'all. Y'all, he's still on
I'm
this
just saying.
shine thing.
I've won two, but I've won two. That's okay. But the thing is, it hasn't like enhanced me. I can't go to another network and say, hey, I won two Emmys. I can put it on my resume. I can put it on my background or whatever, my bio or whatever. And it's nice to put on there. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of Emmy winners out there. So if I go back when the Heisman Trophy, you go back 25 years right now, excluding to say Jaden, Caleb Williams, and Bryce Young because he was a rookie this year, only about 7 players that won the Heisman the last 25 years have actually been really good NFL players, or maybe Pro Bowl players, and had a good career, I would say. If you go back 35 years now, only 2 of those players have gone on to the Hall of Fame, and maybe 1 or 2 more may be Hall of Fame eligible. I'm talking about Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow may be Hall of Fame eligible one day if he continues to play. But you're talking about Barry Sanders and Charles Woodson are the only 2 players.
Tony Dorsett.
35 years. We got to go back 35.
That wasn't 35?
Man, Tony Dorsett played back in like the 70s. He was at Pittsburgh in the 70s, the late 70s.
I know, but I feel like Tony Dorsett was playing in my lifetime.
But no, I'm talking about like when they won the award. So he won the award at Pitt in the 70s. Yeah. So if you go back 35 Heisman winners, only 2 have gone on to have Hall of Fame success. Now, like you said, they can get commercial endorsements. They got the Nissan house right now and whatnot. Eddie George is on that, Matt Leinart, people like that. So some of the names, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And then when you talk about the Lakers and its in-season tournament, which a lot of people still don't understand.
Please explain the in-season tournament to me before you even get on the Lakers winning it.
So I'm explaining it because, Eunice because she's a woman doesn't mean that she doesn't know sports because she has a sports background.
A lot of people don't understand it. People don't understand it.
Before I explain to you, I want to make sure that everybody understands.
I am asking you to explain it to me.
Thank you. All right.
As a person.
The in-season tournament is a way to give more incentive during the regular season to make things a little bit more competitive. You got an 82-game season, and a lot of people say NBA season really doesn't start until Christmas, right? So they tried to do something to add a little bit more incentive by having an in-season tournament with group players, almost like soccer, and then the people who get out of the group play, the top 2 who get out of group play, go into the quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the finals played in Las Vegas, where the Lakers just beat the Indianapolis Pacers. Now, I can say all day about the Lakers winning that title, which was good, and they did it, and they got the championship. But for the Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, a team that's won 17 NBA championships, tied with Boston for the most ever, to even consider putting up a banner in Crypto Arena to win an in-season tournament, that right there is an embarrassment. There's an old clip of Kobe Bryant saying, we don't put up division titles, we don't put up conference titles. We are pretty much a title city. So they're going to put that banner up. Here's the incentive, though, Eunice. $500,000 for each player on that team for winning that tournament. That is the incentive. That is why they're playing hard. They don't give up about that trophy. They care about that money because no matter how much money you make, $500,000 is still a lot of money.
It is. That's interesting. I didn't realize that they were getting paid that much each team that wins. So the teams that were all invited or participated in the brackets, they all got paid too?
Nope, just the one team that won, the Lakers, just the winner. Just the winner. Wow. So when that's on the line, you're talking about $500,000. Like, to people that's making $40, $50 million a year, that ain't a lot, but still, that's Christmas for a cousin. Right. That's something. Right. I mean, who ain't taking $500,000? You know what I mean? So, and then there are people on the team who are like the 8th, 9th, and 10th man. That $500,000 is a lot of money because they're making $5 or $6 million a year and maybe like $2 or $3 million after taxes. So, absolutely. So, what I want to know is like if there were things, if we had more incentives out there when it came to the work flow area, what we do. If this podcast obviously does well and we get a lot of subscription, guess what happens? We get more money. That's what happens, right? So when it's money or incentives on the line, will that make you a better worker? Should we have more of that in the regular workflow?
I think because we live in such a capitalistic society, if it ain't about the money, don't talk to me about it. Because I can't, nothing else is really transferable. When we're talking about the Heisman Trophy or different individual awards, they used to translate, but also we're very familiar, as you mentioned, with the numbers based on who's won Heisman's in the last 35 years that translated to professional success. We're very well familiar with the Heisman bust. We can go down a list of people who's like, oh yeah, they won the Heisman, and really it didn't translate. But now that you can get paid in college and not win a championship, not win individual award, and still be balling, that's the incentive. If you are an NBA player, yeah, the money's gonna be an incentive, but no, I don't think you should hang the rafter. But I think money is always a greater incentive. I think a lot of times people don't realize, especially with college sports before the NIL deals, depending on which bowl you got invited to, you got paid a certain amount of money. Schools are paid a certain amount of money to play these powerhouses and get blown out during the season.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? For that school, the incentive is, yeah, we're going to get embarrassed and lose 65-0, but we got $2 million to our program that we wouldn't have
Right.
had otherwise. So there's money is always the incentive, particularly in sports. Yeah, you want to win, but pay me.
Pay
Tell
me.
me the money.
Hey, here's the thing. So let's get to the juicy part, because you're talking about pay you. So let me ask you a question. Would you, if you're in a situation, you go on a date, if you start dating again, I know you're retired now, but
I'm
let's say you
retired
were
from dating.
back in the day, right? You
Back
was,
in the
you know,
day.
when you was, on television, obviously you're a very successful comedian doing a lot of great things out here in LA. I'll tell you how proud I am of you. But when you were in
Thank you.
Birmingham, you were on the news, you were on a date with somebody, and all of a sudden you just look over and they left to go to the bathroom. Their phone is out. And all of a sudden they have all this information about Eunice Elliot,
Mm,
including her net worth. What would
mm.
be your reaction?
I would be fine with it. My hope, my
Yeah.
hope is that, no, I'm serious. Let me tell you why I would be fine with it. No, seriously, let me tell you why I'd be fine with it.
Mm,
What I would run into a lot with dating guys is they would try to act so nonchalant about anything that they could have possibly ever known about me. They would go on the opposite side versus me finding out they Googled me or I saw it on their phone. They would act like I didn't exist. They would try to minimize me in every way.
mm.
They would try to offer me scraps. And that was based on I'm not trying to seem like a groupie. And I actually dated the guy who put me in retirement. I had something coming up, and I said, I have this thing coming up. You don't ever ask me anything about it, and he said, "Why are you trying to sound like a groupie?" I was like, "No, it
Mm.
would just sound like a boyfriend who was interested in what his girl is doing, right?" So if I saw that I was on a date and a guy had Googled me, I honestly do not think it would affect me negatively. I would be like, at least act accordingly.
But if
And I Google my own net worth, so I ain't
I
tripping.
understand. I get it.
I get it.
I can't believe that somebody actually did that for me, and they told me I was worth $15 million. I'm like, what bank account is that in? Because
I know
I
it's
ain't
a
seen
fun
it.
exercise. It's a very fun exercise. Yeah.
I was like, I'm worth 15 million. I'm like, in what country? I'm like, shit, not in the
So
U.S.
do you not Google the women when you are dating? Do you not Google or do some kind of research on the person that you are about to spend personal time with?
All right, so I guess I'm gonna back up a little bit just so you guys know what
Okay.
I'm talking about. So Aaron Gordon, who plays for the Denver Nuggets, been in the NBA since he was 18, slam dunk champion, won the championship with the Nuggets last year. Pretty good basketball player. Basketball players, speaking of money, they make a lot of money. So he
A
says at
lot.
one time when he was talking about maybe settling down, he was on a date with somebody about a year ago and sitting at the bar, and I guess the lady left for a second, and he looked over, and the last thing that was on her phone was Aaron Gordon's net worth. Now, this is a
Why are you looking
basketball
at
player.
her phone? Why are you looking at her phone though?
Okay, let me ask you a question. Have you ever
Right
looked through a
there.
man's phone? Have you ever looked through a man's
Never.
phone?
Never. Not one time in my entire existence.
Okay, let me ask you a question then, Eunice. That's fine. I'm glad you did that because you respect privacy. Out of all, if you got 10 of your female friends, how many would you say will admit that they've looked through their man's phone?
One.
Oh, you said admit it. I did say admit.
No,
How
no,
many?
no.
How
You
many?
said admit. No,
Okay,
you
I
said
said
admit.
admit.
You
I
have to
did
keep in
say
mind.
I did
No,
say
you have to
admit.
keep in mind. Birds of a feather. I don't roll with women. I don't know. I don't know personally. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Obviously it exists. I don't know any woman that has ever damaged a man's vehicle because he was not a
Mm,
great partner. I don't know anyone personally that has slept with a man's friend or to get the homie, get back. I don't know anybody who's had a baby with somebody to trap. I mean, I'm saying personally, obviously
right,
these people exist. So the question
right.
was, how many people out of 10 people? I would say maybe one. I don't know people like that. That's why I watch reality shows. That's why I
Mm,
consume the things I do because I'm like, are these real people? Is this a real
mm,
way of life? Because I will tell you, the majority of people are not like that. A grown up, big age woman such as myself I
Mm.
cannot get any great information by looking through a man's phone. That's not going to give me the information I actually need. And the fact that I think I need to look at his phone means I already have all the information I need.
So when women say that the reason they gotten caught looking through a man's phone is because they had this thing that I believe breaks up a lot of relationships. Uh,
Intuition.
intuition. The
It doesn't break
intuition.
up.
I believe it
No,
breaks up a
no,
lot of
intuition. No,
relationships. No,
intuition does not
intuition.
break up
It's
relationships. What your intuition is telling you is breaking you up. If your intuition say, "Girl, he's cheating," that's what breaks up the relationship. The intuition is not the bad guy. It's the intuition of what you're doing is why we broke up. It
so it's
wasn't my
intuition,
intuition.
but is intuition factual or intuition is a
Yes,
feeling?
it is.
It's
It is. I'm gonna tell you
intuition.
something. I'm gonna tell
Why
you
is
about intuition. I'm very
intuition
serious
is
about
factual
intuition.
or is it hold on. Intuition is factual or is it just a feeling? What is
It is a fact that I feel this way about this thing, and I'm not gonna
it?
argue with myself about what I feel. That is a fact. I
Okay.
know what I know. I know what I feel, and I'm gonna go on that. And let me tell you this: I used to give people the benefit of the doubt. I would have feelings or intuition, and then what a lot of women will do, girl, you don't know. You might be bringing this from the last guy. Hey, let him show himself. Hey, let him just show up and be who he's gonna be. You're gonna find out everything in due time. Let me tell you, the last time I did not listen to my intuition, I went on
Okay.
one date with a man, wonderful man, talented, funny, smart, like everything I would want in a guy. And I said to him, "It is so amazing that you are single. You literally have never been married. You don't have kids." And he said no. And his response, I'll never forget his response. This was in 2016. He
Mm,
said, "I have lived a very narcissistic lifestyle. I've always just focused on myself, my career, my education. And, I just never opened myself up to be available to someone else in that way." Wow, that was an amazing answer. I received that from you, sir. So
mm,
6 months later into our relationship, when his wife emailed me, but stand by, stand by. I left out the very most important part of this story. I went on
okay.
one date with this man. I had a dream about this man after our first date. And in my
A
dream,
dream.
he had a wife and a son. He had a wife and a son in my dream, right? And it was so real. It was so vivid. I said to him the next day after our first date, "I just had such a great time with you." And sometimes we hear things we want to hear, or we don't hear things that we should have heard. So I just want to make sure. Did I ask you if you are married or have ever been married, or do you have kids? He said, "Yeah, you asked me." I said, "And what did you say?" He said, "I've never been married. I don't have kids." I said, "Okay." I said, "I had the most vivid dream about you. You had a wife and a son." I said, "It was such a vivid dream. And I thought maybe I just misunderstood what you said." And his response was, "Wow, you coming at me about some dream?" Now, fast forward to 6 months later when his wife emailed me and told me, was talking about they've been married since the 80s. So that means he lied about his age too, and their son. I said, "Well, I'll be a monkey's hairy uncle.
Oh
I know
wow.
what I won't do. I won't act like I don't know something that I know ever again." And you call it
Wow.
intuition, I call it a gift.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm saying it could be you could be a psychic. There are some people who have that
I'm
gift
not
of
psychic.
understanding some. I mean, this might not be intuition. Now, has your intuition ever been wrong about somebody? You that was
Not
right.
yet.
Now, I understand that. Has it
Not
ever
yet.
been wrong? Sometimes you can
Not
see
yet.
some things. Sometimes you can see something that looks guilty but isn't. I've been in situations where people look through my phone. Like I said, I never
Okay.
hidden from my past, right? Where
Okay.
people have looked through my phone and I wasn't doing anything wrong. I had
Okay.
this one time. My mom was when she was her husband was going through cancer, right? Having a cancer situation. So there was a lady that I knew from a long time ago, whatnot. Her mom was going through the same type of situation, and she had to put her in a certain type of hospital to get this certain type of treatment. So uh, she was helping my mom out. Didn't even know my mom, but helped my mom out. And I sent them the woman and her mom some flowers saying, "Love you. Thank you so much. You've been amazing. Always there for you." Right now, the girl that I was with at the time didn't know that this woman was helping my mom out. All she did was she went through my email and she saw that I had sent some flowers to somebody and saw the note. Took it completely out of context, but because she had gone through my stuff, and she saw something that was taken completely out of context, guess what? She comes to me and she goes off on me. Now, look, once again, maybe because of my past or whatever, maybe just always once a convict, always a convict. You know what I mean? If somebody is a thief and then you come back home and then $40 is missing, guess who they're gonna look at? I get it. I understand that. I take all the smoke that you want to give me. But
Okay, well then I don't have to give it to you.
but no. But there are some times. But once again, when you think your intuition, first of all, why were you going through my emails when at that time
I agree.
I wasn't doing anything wrong whatsoever.
But can I
So
offer you something? Can I offer you something on that? Why she was going through your emails? Can I offer you something?
Okay.
Okay. In your mind, you're saying I wasn't doing anything. She was wrong for going through my emails. She was wrong for invading my privacy. I agree. She was wrong for invading your privacy. I also will say there was a reason why she was looking for something to confirm what she was feeling. So it may not have been those particular flowers, that particular situation. There was something in your relationship or in your behavior that she was not trusting
Nope.
of you for
No,
whatever
it's
reason. For whatever reason.
nope.
Listen,
Nope.
for whatever reason, a person doesn't trust you. Sometimes it's their stuff they brought, and sometimes it's your stuff you're giving. And you have to be open and realize, hey, the only reason this person is going through my email, I'm upset, it's an invasion of my privacy. All those things are true. But it also means she does not trust me. So that's a bigger issue. It's not,
No, I
oh,
hear
I
that.
wasn't even doing anything and I gave this woman flowers. Let me point out something else to you, Mike. You and I have known each other for over 25 years. We say, I love you. We text each other. Me and several men that you even know, I've never had any romantic dealings with any of them. And these men will say, I love you. I'm proud of you. Let me know if you
Yep.
need anything. They text,
Absolutely.
whatever. I have never been contacted by any of y'all's women based on our communication, even though it could be taken out of context. Now, I want you to sit with that. Okay, that's all.
I'm sitting with it. Exactly.
We
So
know who your friends are. We know who your friends are. So when this
you don't necessarily. No,
imaginary best friend
no.
appears, you're like, wow, I have never even heard you mention. Wow, you know what? My friend Eunice, she's actually just moved out here. She's doing great. You didn't tell her my whole life story. We've never met. It's just a person I know exists in your life. No, do you need to go down and run down and tell me everybody you know? Absolutely not. But if someone is checking your email, they are wrong. But there is a reason why they don't trust you, and maybe that is the root that the energy needs to be put into.
Once again, like I said, I take all that smoke. I understand that once a convict, always a convict. I get it. I even tell people when I start dating somebody, I said, don't trust me because I don't trust you. I want to earn your trust. I want you to earn my trust. So over a period of time, if I don't know somebody, even a friend, I'm not going to just let them in my circle. But I will say this, Eunice. In my phone, I have over 2,500 names. I have been in this industry and I've met a lot of people. A lot of them strictly platonic. There are other women that I've been hanging out with and all that type of stuff like that from the past. A lot of times when I say I love you to somebody, oh, thank you or whatever, or show some kind of love, just like I do to you. Hey, I'm so proud of you. Oh, we should hook up next time you come into town or whatever. And I'm saying that I'm not asking or telling everybody about, hey, my friend Eunice, she's in Birmingham and she may come to town 3 months from now. And when she comes, I'm not doing all that. So, but once again, so when you get in those situations and people, and a lot of times, and I've been in these situations where people will say, well, I wasn't looking through your phone. It just popped up.
You can have somebody your phone for any reason and a text message preview pops up or whatever. That happens. That's very innocent.
Yep. And I've been in that situation too.
I had an amazing time last night. I miss you already. Yeah, we're going to have a conversation about what your mama just texted you.
Okay, well, here's what I'll say, and I'm also going to spend the context here too, because there are a lot of times when a woman or a person is overly jealous, or a woman is. Now, I'm just saying a woman, but there are people who are, you're not doing anything wrong, but they're coming at you sideways. They're suspecting you. I'm like, why am I getting this heat when I'm not doing anything? And I'm being honest, not doing anything right now. That makes me think and wonder.
Why do you say right now? Why do you say right now after you say it, though?
Because people know my past. I'm talking about right now when I'm talking about in this situation. While I'm in this current situation with this particular person that I'm with, right? In that situation, in that relationship, and even if I did something 3 years ago with somebody else, doesn't mean I'm doing it with somebody right now. You shouldn't be in, first of all, if you don't trust the person, you should not be in a relationship with them. You should not. You should not commit to that person. You should, once again, let that person earn your trust before you can take test drives all you want to, but you're not going to buy the car until you know that car is going to be reliable. You can trust it and everything. And if it happens to break down after 3 years, then that happens. Shit happens. I get that. But ever since, let somebody earn your trust. But I have been in situations where I wasn't doing anything wrong. I mean it. I know it's hard to believe for some people out there, anything wrong. But all of a sudden, that person, just because of whatever reason, a lot of times when I have been in those situations, I've been in that situation 2 or 3 times, Eunice. Can I tell you something? The people who came at me the hardest were the ones that like, I wonder what you're doing. And then all of a sudden, if I found I found that you went through my phone, I feel like, hey, you've given me liberty or given me a license to kind of check up on you. I used to work for the NSA, Eunice. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Mhm.
I can find out what I want to find out about you on your phone anytime I
Yeah,
want to.
but
And in
again,
those
if you want to
situations,
go to somebody's phone, you shouldn't be with this person.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, if
Yeah.
you're coming at me a certain way and I haven't done anything wrong, seriously, it makes me wonder what in the hell are you doing that you're coming. Maybe it's your conscience that's bothering you. So I'm going to check. So I've checked
Yeah,
2 or 3
well, let
times.
me say
And
this, though.
guess what? I found stuff, Eunice. So the people
Not,
that
not doubting it, because guess what?
Hmm?
More than likely, because if she doesn't trust you, she's gonna do what she think you're doing, and
Then
vice
get out the
versa.
relationship.
Right?
Get out the
And
relationship.
here's the thing. Back to Aaron Gordon. Let me ask
Okay.
you: would you have a problem if you went on a date with a woman and you saw that she had Googled you or Googled your net worth on the date before you got
I've
there?
had that happen before. As a matter of fact, I've had what's crazy is I was dating this girl and her son. That's how I know I'm worth $13-15 million.
What I
That's
mean,
how
but
I
did
know.
it make you upset? Did you get upset about it, or did it matter?
Not because it came from her son. It did, like I didn't get
Oh,
upset
okay,
about
but
that.
why would it be different if it came from her?
Because like you can just ask me. You don't have to do that. I understand the research and I understand people do that. You should get to know people, but do we believe everything that's on the internet?
No,
Like,
but let's say I met you and you asked me on a date. If I
mm,
Googled you, I'm not necessarily trying to Google to find out what I would learn in the context of a date. I'm trying to see, do this dude have any cases on him? Like, what's the story on this dude? I don't know him. I just met him. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of times you don't know who you're meeting. Google is your friend. Okay.
okay,
And
but Google,
sometimes that
but the
information is out
internet
there and
is
you're
not
like, oh,
always right. So the thing is, a lot
I
of women
agree.
or a
I
lot of
agree. But
people,
if I have a basis to ask you and say, hey, I was looking your name up before I came out tonight, and something came up about you like 5 years ago. What was that about? I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell me your version of events, but also that's useful for me to know the basis of why this is out there about you. You don't
but
think that's important?
no, I think if you tell me that you Google me and you found out, or somebody told you this or whatever, that's one thing. I get it. But a lot of times people will Google and get information, and then they have a perception of who you are, and that's not necessarily who you are, because a lot of the stuff, especially for people that's been in the public eye, been in celebrities, whatever things and whatnot, and been on red carpets, whatever. There's a lot of things. Like half the blogs I read, I'm like, this is so wrong. This is
Right.
so messed up. This is not what happened. This didn't happen. It's not happening in this context, whatever. And people will believe. The thing about social media and the internet right now is that people just see headlines and they automatically believe it. Just like we're talking about this podcast, they will see a clip for 30 seconds and take shit totally out of context and not know the
Mm-hmm.
full meaning, and then they judge you. So when you're in a situation with somebody who's supposed to be you're dating and getting to know you, just ask me. I think it's best to just ask me
Right,
instead
but
of
I
being
only
so.
know to ask you because I Googled you. I wouldn't have known to ask that if I didn't Google you.
No,
So that is why I'm asking you.
well,
It's
I
because I
say
Googled you.
get to know me. Get to know me. So what did we do before the internet? What did we do? How did you get to know?
It
Maybe that's
really,
how
I'm gonna
people
tell
stayed
you.
together for so damn long.
Right, Pop had a whole other family on the tracks. That's what we did before Google. But
Okay.
let me say this also: you can only be lied to, you can only be taken advantage of, and you can only be conned by people you trust. You can't be conned by somebody you don't trust. So
That's
when
true.
you say "let me earn your trust," that also means settle.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's the only way you're gonna get me is you earn my trust. All
Okay.
right,
Well,
I'm just saying
there we
I'm
go.
not mad if you Google me. I think
Okay.
it's very normal,
I can't
and
wait until you're in another
and
relationship. I'm even going to encourage you, ma'am. Just please Google
you
her and
know what
find
I
out.
tell dudes when they treat me halfway? I say you need to Google me. So no, I'm good with it.
So
That's
so 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 so
absolutely.
let's say you met somebody today. Like we're going to move on because we still got to get through some
Mhm,
things in the podcast. But let's say you met somebody today, and all of a sudden the clip came up. You met somebody that was really cool. You
mhm,
think this guy's fly. He thinks you're fly, and you guys go on a couple of dates, and you're really starting to get to know each other. And then all of a sudden he Googles and he sees the clip in which you were taken out of context from last week about something,
mhm.
and then he holds on to that, and then he looks and says,
But
"That's
the
her
clip
mindset."
wasn't negative. Yeah, but the clip
Yeah,
wasn't negative.
but so if some men out
If
there
you
took it
listen,
negatively,
right, to the men who didn't listen, yes, they had negative comments and they had to acknowledge that they didn't fully listen to the clip. So
so
if a man that would be interested in me or that I would be interested in, he would say, you know what, I appreciate that she is sharing what she feels and thinks. I would love to get to know more about her.
What I'm saying is, if there are people who took what we say out of context
They're not my
online,
person. They're not my person. So we're not talking about them. They're not my
what,
person. You said if I was to meet a guy today, so I'm
right?
saying a guy that would have taken that clip out of context is not a guy I would meet today. I'm a lot of those guys who were making those comments, they would never have any engagement with a woman like me if they weren't trolling on the internet. I mean, one
No,
had
what,
pictures of his feet on his Instagram feed. Like, I mean, let's just be real. So what I'm saying to you is, if I was to meet someone that I would potentially go on a date with, they aren't finding clips on the internet and then reacting violently to them like the men in the comments did. They're going to get to know
mm,
me. I saw very nice
naive,
comments from
naive.
men who didn't agree with me. They said, you know what? I don't agree with what Eunice is saying, but I'll check out the whole episode to take the context. Or, hey, it's a great way to get a conversation started. You don't have to agree with me. It just
Okay.
makes make it that you're wrong, but you don't have to have these violent comebacks. So to answer your question, I don't have a problem with anybody Googling me. I feel like you don't even have to Google people now because you can just go to their social media feed and see what they share, what they represent, what they're interested in, where were they yesterday. So I think that information is all readily available and we offer it to the public, people we don't even
So,
know. So why would I care about someone who's getting to know me having that information? I
so
put it
here's
out
what I
there.
think. Here's what I think the disconnect is like, and I know you're coming into your own and you're making a name for yourself and you're doing great. And I'm not saying that I'm that big time person, anything like that. I think there's a lot more information that might be out there about me because I've been in this business a little bit longer, whatnot, been on ESPN and Fox, and then the relationship and even being a part of the reality show
You were in
that
a
there is
very public relationship,
there.
yes, and you
That's,
have been married, yes, yes.
where what
Those
I'm
things
saying
would
is,
exist
I
on the
do
internet
believe.
about
So when Eunice blows up, and believe me, Eunice is going to blow up. There are going to start be people. There are going to be people, trolls, and I pray it doesn't. I pray you're protected. Trolls, people that's going to put out false information about you because you're doing so well. Look
But you
at
have to know that's already happened. That's already happened to me. And last year, I was viral on Bossip for breaking Marlon Wayans' heart, and we all know that that was a clip that was taken out of context and was a joke. So, do you know how many people I had to read about what they thought about me that didn't know me? That's just what it is. We're talking about in a dating situation. If I have agreed to meet you somewhere one on one, that you should ask me whatever you want to ask and I will give you whatever information I'll give you, and vice versa. But also, no one can lie to you unless they trust you, unless you trust them. So I'm saying that still is all for naught. Let's say the internet didn't exist. You're still going to meet people that are going to misrepresent their past and their present and their intentions. That's just life. That's just
Okay.
what it is. I don't think it matters that people say things that aren't true on the internet. I've heard a lot of things about myself on the internet. I mean, keep in mind, I was a black girl in Alabama on the news with natural hair in a
Mm,
very small town, a single
hmm
woman that was dating. I've heard lots of things about me that weren't true, but also I don't get offended by them because the people that know me know me. You and I have had those conversations. The people that know me, those are the people that matter. But if I go on a
Okay.
date, I need you to have some point of reference for who you're talking to today. And not saying
No,
I'm
I
this
get
or
it.
that. I'm just saying, oh, she likes dogs. Oh, she's a comedian. Just have some point of reference for the type of things I might want to engage in and when I'm talking to you.
Okay, we're saying the same thing. Once again, we're saying the same thing. The disconnect is, once again, there's you don't care about what the general public thinks. There are people that are in your circle that you allow in your circle that may automatically see something from something they Googled. All of a sudden, they start getting curious because you can be 2 months into the relationship, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm having feelings for this guy, and they're getting deeper. I need to find out more. And then because somebody was in that person's ear whispering, saying this and that, so now you become a little bit more curious. Eunice, once
Why
again,
wouldn't you be curious though? What's wrong with
I
being curious?
pray, I pray
What's
you
wrong
keep
with
your
being
thick skin. And
curious?
and believe me, I got thick skin like
What is
eczema.
wrong?
Please,
I'm not talking
there's
about thick skin. I'm saying
it.
what is wrong with being curious about a person you're dating?
There's nothing.
Why is that a bad
Well,
thing?
there's nothing wrong with it, but I think if you're in a relationship with somebody, ask the person, and if you feel like you need to do further research, then do that. But when you come in and you started getting serious and you start looking at this, and I've been asked numerous times, what about this? What about that? Oh, you sent something to somebody and everything. You sent this, sex pictures, all that was bullshit. You know what I mean? So when that happens, you bring that up, and then or some people won't even date you based on some of the things they may see on the internet because they have a perception of who they think
Then
you
that's
are.
not your person, and
I know.
that's
I
a great
I
weeding out process. That is not your person. That is not nobody you wanted to be with. I'm thinking about what you're saying right now. If I think of Megan Good supporting Jonathan Majors, who's her boyfriend right now, he's on trial this week for assault of his ex-girlfriend. I'm sure he has communicated something to her in that relationship about this obviously very public situation that she is supporting him through. She's showing up to the trial with him. I'm sure they've had some very interesting conversations. I have no idea what they were. But do I think he has ever told her, oh, yeah, I text my ex girlfriend that I was going to kill myself if she went to the hospital after the last time I beat her up? I don't know if she knew about that before it came out in testimony this week. And so, again, somebody can tell you parts of stories and things that you don't know nothing about nobody until you know it, right? That doesn't make you a bad person because you're like, hey, can you explain this to me just so I'm clear on it? Because I
Right.
didn't know what happened.
No, you should get the information. You should get the information. But Megan Good, if she believed everything he heard on the internet about Jonathan Major, and I don't know all this stuff,
I'm
then
talking about
Megan
in
Good,
court.
I understand
I'm
in
talking
court.
about
But
in court. I'm not
even
talking about the
before,
internet.
well, Jonathan Majors was on trial before Megan Good even came into the picture.
But
All
I'm
this
talking
stuff
about his
started.
actual trial. I'm not referring to anything.
I
I don't know anything about the internet could be true. I'm saying in trial, his actual text messages. Do you think he told her before that day that he
Maybe
had
he
sent
did.
those text
Maybe he
messages?
did. And guess what? Now, not only is Jonathan Major being judged, which, if he's guilty, he should, and he should serve whatever time that he gets, whatever punishment he gets. I get that. Megan Good, because she is now with somebody who is on trial where a lot of people don't know the full context of everything that happened in the situation. Guess who's being judged along with him? Megan Good is. Now she's being criticized and crucified and look for her choice of being with this man at this particular moment. So all I'm saying is, like, when it
And
comes
that
to
goes back to
finding
what I said last week.
when
Men's
it
bad behavior, the woman takes the fall for the dude. I said that last week too.
so say
The
what you
point
just
is,
said. Say what you just said. Say what you just
I
said.
said that last week that when men have bad behavior, they're very rarely held accountable. People look at the woman they're with and they talk about her and her choices versus the person that actually had the bad behavior. That's what you
Mm.
just said. I would agree. I said, yeah, that's what I just said last episode.
Does it work both
I'm
ways?
agreeing with you. I'm
Does it
agreeing
work?
with you.
Does it work both ways?
I'm sure it can.
If a
I
woman
was
has
just
been,
talking about what you were just
you,
talking about. I'm talking about what you were just talking about. And, well, first of all,
okay,
Mike, everything can work both ways. Nothing is
well,
an
that's what I'm
absolute
saying.
one way or the other
So
in life.
so
But if we're
so
talking about something and I say something about it, you don't then have to say it can work in another way. Obviously, it
I'm
can
just
work
saying.
another way. We're talking
I
about this particular situation. So that's what we're talking about is this situation. We can put
but
up
you
every
said
situation in the world and it has an inverse and a reverse. Everything in the
I
world
get
has an
that, but
inverse situation.
you said men. You said men. You did not say
That's
Jonathan
what I
Majors
said
is
last.
bringing somebody else
I
down.
said you said they have been trialing him in the social media. People have been judging Megan Good for even dealing with him. And so I was talking about what you just said about Megan Good. They're judging Megan harshly because she has chosen to be with this man who is on trial for this thing. And so
And then
people
what
are
was
talking
your
about
point
Megan
after that?
Good versus I said, and that's the same thing I said last week about when men have poor behavior, people look to talk about the woman that is with him. That is the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And then so I'm just saying. So I'm saying on the flip side, it goes both ways because when you say men, it doesn't always necessarily mean that the woman is dragged along with him. Sometimes it depends on how she's supporting him or not supporting him. Bottom line, that's the way it goes. So I just want to make sure that we're not definitive
When a
about
woman
certain
gets
things.
cheated on, she
I
can
don't
break
like.
up with him.
I
She can
don't
break up
like.
with him or she can stay with him, but people are going to talk about the woman that got cheated on more so than the dude that cheated.
So if a woman was out, okay, I'm not going because I don't want to get into that whole he said she said. What I'm saying is when we paint with a broad brush, sometimes this is where some people can take things that we say out of context and make it think that we're just talking about one side. So I'm just saying that the other side is it goes both ways regardless. Bad behavior, whatever who you're with, bad behavior, you're going to be judged because you're with that person depending on how you support them. If I had a female, if I was with somebody and they had bad behavior and I was there and I was supporting them, I was going to trial with them every day or whatever, and I wasn't speaking out against her or whatever, that's my woman. I'm supposed to do that. I get that. But I can understand how people will look at the man too and saying, well, how can you allow her to do that? How can you not speak out against that? That's my woman. Just like the woman's not going to speak out against the man that she's with. I get it. Anyway, let's continue to move on, man. We got to continue. Are we going to do the Fantasia thing now?
They're having the best week ever. The Color Purple has premiered. It comes out on Christmas Day. A lot of the stars have already been nominated for Golden Globes. It's very exciting. I look forward to seeing it. I ain't been invited to nobody's premiere so far, so no. Fantasia's looking wonderful. Look, she has a new stylist that is rocking out every curve of her gorgeous body. She is killing it. And I think the story was just saying that she missed her commercial flight and
Mm,
Oprah flew a private. And I think a misconception people have is because you're successful, you don't fly commercial. Because there's so
mm.
many times people are taking pictures of people on commercial flights and they share it like the person should be embarrassed to be on a commercial flight. Like, is that
Yeah,
a thing?
it is. And it's so sad because people just automatically look in your pockets and think that you make a lot of money. And we've seen this a lot during the actor strike. A lot of people, when doing the acting, people don't realize that even if they see you on television, they see you on red carpets, doesn't mean that you're rich, doesn't mean that you're making a lot of money. It just means that you got a lot of exposure. Exposure does not
Hmm.
always translate to your bank account being full. So stop that with
Don't
that
I
whole thing.
know that?
And
Don't
so
I know
and what's
that?
crazy is the people that you rarely see, the people that are behind the scenes are the richest people. So that's why when you're talking about net worth and all that type of stuff like that, just because that man is making $40 million a year, you don't know his obligation to his family. You don't know if he got back taxes. You don't know all of that other stuff and whatnot. The people that are the most important people in Hollywood and behind the scenes are the people who you would not know who the hell they are. How many billionaires do you know outside of black
And a
people?
lot of them are flying commercial is the point. I'm saying a lot of people fly commercial. Commercial is not slumming life.
Uh, but here's the thing: even flying commercial, even I'll take it even a step further. Even if you fly commercial and you're an actor or a public figure and you're not flying first class, I have had people tell me, "What you doing back here?" When I was flying in coach, what you doing back here?
Hmm.
What you doing? Like I can't now. Can I afford to fly for? I like to fly. That's one of the luxuries I enjoy. I will tell you that nice hotels, and I got to fly because it's comfort. I'm 6'2", I'm 220 pounds. I'm a big guy. So I can't sit in a small, if it's a flight that's over 3 hours, I got to have some comfort. So I'll fly first class. I'll pay the extra $700, $800, $900 sometimes for that comfort. It's worth it for me. Now, I understand a lot of people don't get that, but there shouldn't be an embarrassment just because that person's a superstar or what you think that person is making and they can't fly private. Do you know how much a private jet costs?
And it's not rational. It's not a good use of your money. Now, somebody like Taylor Swift, who sends
Mm-hmm.
her private jet that she owns to come pick up her boyfriend to take him to her concerts, that's a major flex. But she got it like that.
Yeah,
Flying private is not as exclusive as it used to be, meaning anybody can fly private if that's what you choose to do. But I think the assumption that because someone has, as you said, exposure, that they are on PJs every day of the week is insane. And
it
I
is
think it's a
insane.
it's an unrealistic standard that people who just don't know any better set for, I guess, celebrities or people they know, and they think, wait, what are you doing back here on the flight with me? It's like I'm trying to get to the same place you're trying to get to.
Yeah,
Like,
we're
stop
going to the
talking to
same
me.
destination. And the thing is, when you fly, sometimes when like you fly Delta, you fly certain services. Now, as a celebrity, this is some of the things I have done before. You fly first class, you get a concierge service, so you're not sitting in the boarding area. So you get flown, you go out on the tarmac with the car. They'll take you on the plane straight up to the plane, sit you in your seat before anybody's there. You can put your headphones on, your glasses, whatever, and stuff like that, and be hidden. So that's one of the. I've seen Ti do that. I've seen several players do it on Delta Airlines, especially coming back from forth between Atlanta and LA. I see that all the time. You get concierge service, so you're not standing out there. And if you're so rich and you're so famous, like Oprah, she don't want to be bothered. She's sitting next to somebody that's, and there's security reasons. Even if you're on a plane, somebody sits next to Oprah in 4A, you don't know who this person is. You don't know what the exposure and all that stuff. So sometimes they don't want to be bothered. So if they got that kind of money, of course, they're going to fly. So we need to stop doing that. Stop judging people based on the way they're flying. Speaking of,
Oh, you know what? Speaking of, stop doing that. We've decided to have this would be our final segment for each show. It's something that probably is bothering us, whether it's related to the podcast. It's just something we have consumed in the world. And since this is the Done There, Been That podcast, this is a segment called Stop Doing That.
mm-hmm.
So I would like to start. I kind of alluded to it. If you disagree with somebody on the internet, you don't have to argue with them. You can either scroll by or share your difference of opinion without attacking them personally. And the other sidebar to that is, hey, single men, it is not an insult to call a woman single. You ain't got nobody either. And most of us are single by choice. Mike,
Absolutely. Stop doing that. And let me tell you something. A
stop
lot of
doing
those single
that.
men, and let me add to that, Eunice, because a lot of those single men that's saying that you're single couldn't get you. You know what I mean? At all. You know what I mean? And they're not on your level. So stop doing that. If you're talking
Stop
about
doing that.
somebody's status, and you're not on that level of their status, you ain't got no way to say. My thing is, stop doing this as well. What kind of bugged me this week is like, I'm 53 years old, but I moisturize, I hydrate. You know, I'm happy. So I look younger than I am. But still, people still throw out this little term every now and then. Old man, or sit your old ass. What's this old ass doing? Like, that's an insult for me to be old. 53 years old, first of all, ain't old, to be honest with you. It's a little bit seasoned. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit more mature. So when you're saying that I'm old and you're trying to throw that as an insult, you better pray that you feel the way I do, that you've accomplished what I have, and that you look the way I look when you're 53 years old. Because I've seen some people out there who are in their 30s that look like we went to high school together. So you cannot call me old, and your ass cannot call me uncle. If we look the same age, even if you 15 to 20 years younger than me, you can't call me uncle. Brother, we cousins at best. And
doing
really,
that. Stop doing that.
so stop doing
Mike
that.
don't like that. Stop
Oh
doing
my
that.
God. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. We ain't gonna stop doing
Okay.
this.
I don't
This
think
is
so. This is just episode 2. I think we're gonna have to start making them shorter because we can do this all day.
yeah. Well, we could talk all day. Both of us got some things we got to say on our mind. But hey, we enjoyed it. Thank you, Eunice. Another great episode. We're looking forward to next week as well on the Done That Been There podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already on iHeart or wherever you get your podcasts, and watch the Inflection Network YouTube channel for our clips so you can see our faces, not just hear our wonderful melodic voices. But if you want to see our faces, go to the YouTube page on the Inflection Network YouTube channel and watch us. And then eventually I think we'll branch out and get our own. But we gotta grow up a little bit, Eunice.
Yeah, we, because we're so young and supple, and we're not anybody's aunties or uncles. I think it's please keep it commenting. We'll always read your comments, and when we get a chance, we'll reply. That's always great fun. We love the engagement. But until next time, I guess we'll just see y'all on the next episode of Done There, Been That,
God
and
bless
stop doing
everybody.
that.
Stop doing that bullshit. Nobody want to see that. Stop it.